Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. I know I am so grateful for the support on this channel and for all of you who watch my content. I genuinely appreciate you. Thanks for clicking. So this video is something that I've had on my mind for a while. I've been watching a ton of videos and actually been doing a lot of research into how to complete it, how to maneuver it, how to interact with it, or overall just what to do with it. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I am of course talking about the dreaded backlog. Yes, the backlog is something that many of us fear, many of us freak out about, many of us have this sunk cost fallacy when it comes to a backlog, and many of us just feel this tinge of guilt because there is never enough time, yet we continue to consume media, we continue to purchase media, and we continue to collect and add things to our libraries without ever actually getting around to completing them. Now, I want to be very transparent. I am in no means an expert when it comes to completing a backlog, and I don't want to pretend for a moment that my backlog is not insanely huge and big. But honestly, what I want to do is start taking games from my backlog and start discussing them with you guys. Start letting you know things that I learned about going through a game in my backlog. Essentially getting an idea of what it feels like to play a game in the backlog and actually committing yourself to it. How to know when it's time to call a game that you're playing from your backlog quits. Is it worth continuing that experience, or is it worth it to say, you know what, I've had enough, I'm really ready to just kind of set it down now. Now this video won't be on anything in particular as far as any specific game or anything like that, but what I really want this video to be is a breakdown of backlogs, what backlog culture is like, what it's like having a backlog as big as mine, and really talk about my plans going forward with a backlog and how to really tackle it. Now, one thing I would recommend is, as I'm breaking things down, think about what games you want to tackle. Think about what games you want to get to and what do you want to prioritize. And really, I just kind of want to make this something as a community effort. You know, let's come together as a community and really think about what we as players want to do with the games we own, and does it really make sense to spend $50, $60, $70 on a brand new game when we have hundreds of games already in our library. So I think honestly the first thing to do is really define what is a backlog and what does it consist of. So for me, a backlog is a list of games, or rather a catalog of games that you have accumulated over time via either sales or purchases or gifts from family members, and they're all games that you basically want to get to. They're games that you want to put time into, but for some reason or another you just haven't started it yet. You picked it up, you got it for a couple hours, you just couldn't quite finish it, and it's something that you never really found time to really put into and give it the dedicated time that that game deserves. If you're anything like me and you play on PC, then you're going to know exactly what I mean when you talk about getting a huge catalog of games, especially if you are a purveyor of Steam sales as myself. I have about 850 games in my Steam library, and I can tell you without a doubt that I have many games. A lot of them I got for free, but there's a ton of them that I bought either because they were cheap or because I thought, oh, well, you know, it's on sale now, so I'll just get it while it's on sale. And I didn't always think about whether or not it made sense to buy it right now. Is this something I'm going to play right now? I don't know, probably. And then sure enough, that's when the backlog happens. So we understand what a backlog is, right? Nobody's really surprised to know what that is, but I think the important parameter to know about what it takes to beat a backlog, because everybody has the backlog, but nobody really understands or knows for sure what it means to really check them off of the backlog, right? We all just assume that it means beating the game, but sometimes it's not just beating a game to get it off the backlog. Sometimes it's knowing what games do we actually want to prioritize. Do we need to start a game over? Is it a game that we started off in the middle somewhere and we just need to get through to the end? Is it a game that maybe we just need to decide if we even want to continue with in the first place? There's some steps to kind of understanding what it means to check a game off of a backlog. Now, it's going to be different for every single person, but for me personally, I think what it means to get something off of a backlog, for me, is narrowing it down to two different things. One, is it a game that I want to beat through to completion? Not do I want to replay it, not do I want to see a different ending and, you know, have all these different stuff to do in the game, not I'll do all the side stuff, but do I want to play it from A to Z all the way through? If the answer is yes, then that is a game that I want on my backlog and I want to at some point get to. If the answer is no, or it's further down the line, then it's something that I just don't really want to put on my backlog currently. Especially if the answer is no, because then at that point I know I'm never going to actually get to it. Now, sometimes I'll have a game where I think I want to play it through to completion, but I don't really know until I get further into the game. This happens a lot with RPGs. Things like BioWare RPGs for me are like that. Not so much like Mass Effect, but like Dragon Age and games like Greedfall and things like that. You know, games that where they're big and they're open, but do I really want to see this all the way through to the end, or would I rather just watch the cutscenes on YouTube? What I personally recommend for those types of games is you put about 5 to 10 hours into a game, and if you're really not feeling it in that 5 to 10 hours, if you think that first 5 to 10 hours there's nothing of note that really keeps you wanting to continue, there is no shame in saying, you know what, this is just something that does not interest me. For now, I'm gonna cut it off the backlog. And that doesn't mean that you have to never come back to it. It just means that for now it's not of interest and it's not really something that you see yourself playing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Perfect example, you know, like at one point I started the game Werewolf the Apocalypse, and within about an hour or two, I was just not feeling it. I was like, you know, this is really neat. I love werewolves. I love horror, but I don't really see myself playing this through to completion. I think this is kind of a vapid, janky game, and I just, for all its quirks and everything, I just don't really think it's something I want to complete. So I set it aside and said, you know what, I'm going to move on from it. Now, when I gave the example of 5 to 10 hours earlier, I was primarily talking RPGs, and that's assuming that you like the gameplay. What I will say is if you don't like the gameplay of something, don't feel like you need to force yourself to play it, right? There is a certain understanding that, like, games are meant to be fun, and just because something tells you it's higher art, and just because something tells you that there is a carrot on a stick waiting for you at the end of it, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to enjoy it when you get there. So yeah, you might enjoy the story, and yeah, you might enjoy some of the elements of the environments and the characters and the world, but if you don't enjoy the gameplay that means getting there, does it really matter if you are not having fun the whole time through? Another thing too to think about when it comes to actually tackling your backlog is there are going to be times when new games come out, or when you want to go back to old games that you play a lot of. Games like live service games like Call of Duty or Battlefield. For me, it's like Vampire Survivors or Halls of Torment, roguelikes, stuff that is going to pull you away because they're kind of endless time sinks, right? They're games that are meant to be played forever to an extent. And so you're going to want to be able to go back to those games that make you feel comfortable, that make you feel good and happy. And there's nothing wrong with those, you know, mingling those in with your backlog games. I think what's important though is that you don't spend your entire time focusing directly on those games, because if you have a backlog of games that you want to get to, but you're playing 300 hours of Call of Duty a month, you're never really going to get to your backlog if you're only ever playing Call of Duty. What I recommend to fix this problem is to only jump into those games when either your friends are playing and you actually have time to play with your friends, or if there is an event that you really want to grind and work towards. That way you actually have a reason that is not just your own wanting to play the game. You have something to actually incentivize you for playing that game. That way you have an actual reason besides, oh, well, I just want to play Call of Duty, or I'm just playing Call of Duty because it's my routine. It's not something that you are doing because you want to, it's something you're doing because you feel like you have to. Whereas if you're doing it because your friends are doing it, or you're doing it because there's an actual event that you want to get to, then it actually feels special, and it feels like you're doing it because there is an event or a reason for it. The other thing that can really keep you from your backlog is, of course, getting new games and getting sales, and perfect example is like Black Friday or holiday shopping. Maybe there's a brand new game that we really want and our friend gifts it to us on Steam, or maybe our family goes out and gets us a gift card so we have money to get, and then that's the game we get because we have the money for it. When it comes to those types of situations, I try to do two things. One, I try to only buy games that I know I'm going to get to within the next few months, right? If it's a game or a sequel to a game that I'm currently playing and I know I'm going to want to play the sequel, that's a good example of like Hollow Knight or something, where I played it, I finished it, I loved it, and I know I want to play Silksong. So, okay, maybe I don't want to buy Silksong on day one, but I'm going to buy Silksong when it goes on sale. Okay, it's on sale, I'm going to buy it now. Not only do I know that I want to play Silksong, but also I know that I'm getting it on sale, so I was able to save a little bit of money in the process. Doing this helps me know that, okay, A, I'm saving money, B, I know I'm playing my games in a reasonable amount of time, and then C, I'm able to add it to my library so I'm not missing out on the sale. And then the second thing I do is when I want to buy a game that I have a passing interest in, right? Something that I want to add to the backlog because it's something that I'm interested in. So what I'll do is I'll wait for a very deep sale for it. It's not something that I'm willing to pay a little bit of a higher price, even with it being on sale. It's something that I need it to be at least 50% or more in order for me to add it to my backlog. Doing this helps me really prioritize what I want to spend my money on during Black Friday and holiday shopping, but it also really helps me prioritize my backlog, so I'm not just mindlessly adding things and I'm not just mindlessly spending to play and get involved in the conversation. I'm actually adding to what I as a person, I as an individual, want to figure out with the games that I'm playing. One of the last tips I have for you as somebody who's going to tackle a backlog is to remember to have fun, right? These are video games. The whole idea of having video games, you shouldn't feel like you're doing a job. And if video games at any point start to feel like a job or start to feel like work, then maybe it's time to take a step back and say, you know, maybe I just need to go and touch grass and just watch a movie or watch a TV show or go get some air, you know? Go do anything else. You don't have to play video games. It's not your full-time job. That's kind of all I have for advice. Really, I've been doing a pretty good job on my backlog as of recent, and one of the reasons that this topic has kind of been in my mind in general is coming up to the new year and coming up to all the games that I've been looking at in as far as the future purchases and the ones that I have now. There's some franchises I've really wanted to delve into and really finish up some titles that I just haven't gotten a chance to get around to. Going forward, I intend to actually cover the games that I do through my backlog series, and just to give you an idea of what the next one will be, or the first one I should say, is Dragon Quest XI. I finally got into Dragon Quest and finally was able to actually finish a full game. I had played Dragon Quest 1 before, but to be honest, Dragon Quest 1 is such a short experience, I never really felt like it was worth talking about, but Dragon Quest XI was such a unique and great experience that I really enjoyed it, so much so that I actually went directly from playing that right into the 2D HD whatever remake, and I'm currently working my way through that. So I actually have been playing through that series, and I really am tempted to pull the trigger on the 1-2 HD remake, but currently I'm kind of holding off until I feel that it's at a proper sale. So we'll see what happens, but honestly, I've really been enjoying my time with the Dragon Quest series, and had I never started with my backlog, I never would have found that Dragon Quest really is one of my favorite series. I don't know if it's too premature to say that, but considering that I am 3 games down and I'm continuing to just play the series, I feel like that's a pretty good metric. So, as always, guys, if you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my videos. I love the community feedback. I love all the comments, so thank you so much for watching. Would love to know more about your guys' libraries. What do your guys' backlogs look like? Let's hold each other accountable, right? I'm telling you, I'm playing Dragon Quest. I intend to play some more JRPGs, and that's kind of my goal going forward. So yeah, let's, feel free to add me on Steam. We can definitely share backlog stories. And when it comes to time for me to talk about Dragon Quest XI, I'd love to hear some more about your guys' backlogs. So feel free to comment below and let me know what you guys think. As always, thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Shop responsibly and stay safe out there, my friends. Stay warm as well. Take care.